Hello from Vermont, home of the progressive icon, the senator who routinely cites Scandinavia as models that we in the U.S. should follow. And I want to give a quick talk about why Denmark, Norway, Sweden, and even Finland are so successful. Big answer, their kids are better educated. And that's not necessarily reading and science and math. It's in civics. From early age, kids in Scandinavia are taught goodness. That's little things taught in school, like offering to share what you have with a classmate, like not taking more than you need, like being respectful when others are speaking, like helping out doing chores at home. If you grew up in America in the 1960s or earlier, you were taught these things in American public schools. But that's not so in modern times. By the 1990s, school administrators had become afraid that these aspects of civics were culturally imperial. They became afraid of single left-leaning parent bringing suit, bringing the ACLU into their district. School administrators took a leftist view of separation of church and state. It wrongly said that a school should teach values or should not teach values that stemmed from Jewish and Christian Bibles. Meanwhile, Scandinavians, though highly secular, they continued to instill good values in their public school charges. By 2010, American schools were under assault. You could teach anything but civics, it seems. The perils of STDs taught to third graders. The wonders of Afrocentrism to middle schoolers. Putting condoms on bananas. Fifth graders exposed to that. False language, one called ebonics. It made kids feel good in the inner city. But it was a waste of time at best and fooling people at worst. These kids had administrators that thus scared students, retarded their learning. Meanwhile, Scandinavians continued to learn truth, real skills, and their kids carried an extra advantage, still do. They learn about the value of work, and here's how that value plays out. Norway, Sweden, Denmark, Finland, they have almost no beggars. Now, there are plenty of well-off people to beg from, but it almost never happens. The first talk show host I ever went out of my way to listen to was Dennis Prager in Los Angeles. He's still on. For decades, he polled parents about what they think their child most wants his parents to wish for them. He gives parents 4 choices to ask. Do you think I most want you to be A, happy, B, smart, C, successful, D, good? In his polling, good almost never won. Being good usually came in dead last. The shame is that schools and parents don't reinforce goodness. The especial shame is goodness actually leads to happiness and usually leads to success. It makes the 4th category, smart, almost irrelevant. Why does goodness lead to happiness? Because gratitude, which comes of goodness, is inextricably linked to happiness. If you don't have happiness, you don't have gratitude, and vice versa. If you do have happiness, you do have gratitude. And goodness stems from gratitude. Goodness usually leads to success in market economies. You can't be fiendish and stay in business a really long time. Good at what you do and how you treat people tends to lead to promotions if you're not in business, and if you are the business owner, tends to lead in financial success. So what's the American solution? I'm going back to the schools here with 3 suggestions. Number 1, let parents choose their kids' school. That means a voucher. Vouchers that then travel with the kid to choose the better school. And the school gets rewarded by being attractive to more and more kids. It has more and more now money coming in, funding more supplies, more projects, more teachers, higher pay. American parents should be relying now on schools for very little. They're teaching English and math not very well, and as we've said, they've hardly taught civics in the last 30 years. Number two, protect the stand-up teachers and stand-up administrators who might be doing civics and may be coming under threat of a suit. Well, protect them. If the ACLU is on one side, it's almost certainly on the wrong side. Those who do in schools what is right for kids should not be afraid of the ACLU, and we should support those who are fighting ACLU tactics. Three, educate the educators, and I think they'll welcome it. Look, they've spent huge amounts of time revamping to comply with Common Core. Now, that's a whole education regime that is in many times silly, and yet they plodded through to comply with state regulations. They'll welcome just a few hours going back to civics, relearning what America's founders were trying to do here. It'll go a long way. Give bonuses to these teachers for watching PragerU videos or enrolling in a Hillsdale College course. At minimum, they will learn that Constitution law does not prevent teachers from teaching civics. There's this fear of separation of church and state being violated. This is nowhere in the Constitution, nor is it in any Supreme Court ruling about classroom education. The closest we get is from Amendment 1, no state shall establish a religion. Far cry from teaching civics to elementary school kids. With this return in our schooling, progressives will maybe start citing America, not Scandinavia, as a beacon for youth doing civics well and ultimately leading to very successful adults. I'm Mark Stewart. Thanks for listening.